not just tech.
Very Vanna White there. All right. By the way, I made a Vanna White joke the other day at like a Wheel of Fortune joke at a junior school. No one knew what the hell I was talking about. All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. We all know that everyone right now is rightly concerned about the cost of their health care. That's a topic that's been in the news a little bit lately, and justifiably so. And we also know that the state of New Jersey provides funding for healthcare for hundreds of thousands of public servants and their families. And when the state is defrauded, when we have to pay more for goods or services, particularly healthcare, than we should, guess who is left paying the bills? We pay them, all of us, including the hardworking public servants in our state. As Attorney General, it's my job to protect our residents and hold accountable anyone, including contractors, who lie to the state and cheat us out of taxpayer dollars. Today, I'm announcing that my office has secured a $100 million settlement with Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey to resolve our allegations that Horizon defrauded the state and breached a major state contract. For years now, the state has paid Horizon hundreds of millions of dollars to run the state's employee health plans as our third-party administrator, or a TPA. In this role, Horizon is entrusted with managing the delivery of health care to hundreds of thousands of public servants and their family members. We're here today because of a multi-year investigation revealed that Horizon betrayed that trust and took advantage of the state, and ultimately took advantage of all of us. In a confidential complaint that was unsealed today in federal court, we allege that Horizon lied to the state to win its 2020 contract and knowingly violated that agreement, ultimately costing the state tens of millions of dollars in the process. In 2019, when New Jersey's Division of Pensions and Benefits sought bids for its 2020 contract, it announced a new requirement, a very common sense requirement, aimed at reducing the state's health care costs. The division, under the leadership of Treasurer Liz Moyo, told all potential bidders that they could not charge the state's health plans more than what a provider charges for services. You might be asking, how could that even happen? How could the state end up paying more for a doctor's visit than what the doctor actually charged for it? This seems like common sense to me. You see, health insurance companies like Horizon often negotiate rates with providers. And sometimes that negotiated rate that they have with the provider is higher than what that provider actually charges a patient who walks in off the street. In 2019, New Jersey told bidders that wanted our business that it could not use taxpayer dollars to pay those higher rates. The new rule was clear. Starting in 2020, if a provider charged less for services than the rate that it had negotiated with the insurer, again, provider provides the services, if it charges less than what it had negotiated, then New Jersey's administrator would have to bill the state for whichever the lower number was. So let's take a moment to put this into concrete terms. And you have a very nice, thanks to Adam, illustration up there. Let's say you go to the doctor for an MRI, and the bill is $500. If the administrator had previously negotiated the rates for MRIs to be $1,000, it could only bill the state that $500 lower rate, the lower rate of the two. This, again, should seem, I think, like an obvious result. And so when Horizon submitted a bid for the 2020 contract, it did what every bidder did. It certified that it would comply with this new lesser of provision, again, that it would bill us the lower of the two rates. By doing so, Horizon made absolutely sure that the state should never pay more for services than the amount that a provider charged. But there was just one problem with this. Horizon was not actually able to comply with this provision, and it knew it. As we set forth in our complaint, Horizon carefully examined the state's new requirement. It looked at its existing partnerships and provider agreements, and it came to the conclusion that it simply was not prepared to adhere to this lesser of provision. At that point, Horizon faced a few choices. It could have asked the state to make this requirement optional. It could have tried to change its operation so that it was, in fact, able to comply with the state's new requirement that it was certifying it could comply with in the first place. It could have eaten the cost of those savings and that it was required to pass on to the state. Or it could have refrained from bidding altogether. After all, Horizon knew, as we lay out, that it couldn't meet the state's standards. But Horizon didn't do any of these things. Instead, it lied. It bid on the contract anyway and won by tricking the state into believing that Horizon was ready, willing, and able to comply with this lesser of provision and save the state money. And our investigation revealed that all the while, Horizon executives dismissed the issue internally. They shrugged it off, saying that if they had to, Horizon could just make the state whole by issuing refunds for overbilling. So think about that. In other words, they would reimburse the state for not complying with the provision that they said they would do, but only if they got caught. Not only did they lie to secure this multi-billion-dollar contract, the state paid Horizon millions and millions of dollars in fees over the next 4.5 years. In our complaint, we allege that during those years, Horizon submitted to the state over 1,000 false claims for payment that indicated Horizon was complying with the lesser of provision and saving the state money. But it wasn't. Horizon was billing the state its negotiated rates, again, the higher of the two, even though the provider was billing a patient for less. They hoped we wouldn't notice, and now they are paying a significant and historic price. Today's settlement is an enormous victory for the state of New Jersey. It's the single largest non-Medicaid false claim settlement in our state's history. In fact, it is 5 times larger than the next highest such settlement. The $100 million that Horizon has agreed to pay the state will help undo the damage it wrought on our state's health plans, which we know are facing challenges. As required by law, a small portion of the recovery will be dispersed to the state's False Claims Act prosecution fund and to certain private individuals who originally sued Horizon on behalf of the state. But I am proud to report that the overwhelming majority of these settlement proceeds will be going straight back into our state's health plans to fund them. The settlement also puts new safeguards in place to prevent Horizon from defrauding the state again. But let me be clear. This settlement achieves even more than a 9-figure recovery and new guardrails on the state's contracts with Horizon. Today's settlement makes a very clear statement. We send a message to Horizon and to the entire insurance industry that they cannot take advantage of the state. They cannot make us all illegally pay more for health care. No one is entitled to our business, and they are not entitled to New Jersey taxpayer money either. You don't get to pick and choose which portions of state contracts you want to comply with. Horizon, just like every contractor, has to earn our business, keep their promises, and abide by the law. And today, and this I want to emphasize, we also make clear to the hundreds of thousands of hardworking, dedicated educators, police officers, firefighters, public servants who make our state run, who are covered by our state's health plans, that we have their back too, and that we're not going to stand idly by when powerful corporations play fast and loose with their health care. At a time when everyone is rightly concerned about rising costs, particularly their health care costs, we won't let insurance companies rip you off. We're not going to let them make you pay more than you should. And last, but certainly not least, we send a very clear message to every company and every individual in our state who wants to do business with our state, that it doesn't matter how large you are, how powerful you are, how well-connected you are. If you defraud the state, if you misuse taxpayer money, we will come after you, and we will hold you accountable to the fullest extent of the law. Before we take questions, I want to take a moment to thank Treasurer Liz Moyo and her team, the hardworking staff of the Division of Pensions and Benefits, for their cooperation and collaboration in this case, which spanned years, and for their work. Now, Treasurer Moyo is completing her 8th year as treasurer, a record-setting number of budgets in those 8 years, and just the tremendous work her team did to help us resolve this case in historic ways. I also want to thank the incredible team in the Division of Law that made the settlement possible, many of whom are standing behind me. There you are. First and foremost, I want to thank Assistant Attorney General Laura Fogel for her heroic effort in leading the state through years of investigation and negotiations. She is an extraordinary lawyer and has done a really tremendous job here on behalf of the residents of New Jersey. I want to thank Government and Healthcare Fraud Section Chief Brian DeVito and Assistant Attorney General Beth Mitchell for their tremendous contributions to the state, along with Deputy Attorneys General Emma Shao and Catriona Coffey. And a special thanks to Division of Law Director, congratulations, Mike Walters, Deputy Director Sarah Gregory, I'm the Affirmative Civil Enforcement Practice Group, who I also have to give a shout out, along with Executive Assistant Attorney General Angela Kai, for the great work that she did over the past week, fighting to keep 850,000 people's food on their table through the SNAP litigation. We do a lot of things here. Deputy Director Kaveen Mistry of the Financial Affairs Practice Group, who I'm thrilled to be standing with to announce that we're bringing the state back money rather than spending it, which is what I usually talk to him about. And all of these individuals and the many attorneys in the Division of Law who did extraordinary work on this important case, as well as so many others. I'll now take any questions you have.
Sure. I have a lot of on-topic questions. But just to start off, does this settlement at all restrict Horizon from continuing their contract with the state? And if not, why should they be able to continue contracting with the state despite defrauding it as you described?
It places numerous guardrails as well as data requirements on Horizon. With respect to any future contract, I can't speak to that. We defer to the procurement process on that.
So this doesn't automatically end or cancel the current contract?
Again, we defer to the procurement process on any questions about their contract. If they were to bid for a new contract, I can't prejudge how it would be received.
Okay. And is there any evidence at all that this also trickled down to the local government level, since Horizon also is also the TPA for a lot of local governments outside the state health benefits program?
Anything I can say about that?
Both the state health. It's both the state health benefits plan and the state SEHB, right? So it's both plans.
Yeah.
But is there any evidence that local governments that are not a part of the SHPP or the SEHBP have also faced similar actions from Horizon?
We don't have their contract, so I couldn't comment on that.
Okay. And would you recommend at all that the state of New Jersey or local governments continue to contract with Horizon, given what we're seeing today?
Again, I'm not going to comment on what others should do or future procurements. What I'll say is, if you enter into a contract with the state of New Jersey, you got to live by its terms. If you can't live by its terms, you don't have the option of lying and then hoping you don't get caught. And I would hope anyone, Horizon or any other company, sees a $100 million payment and realizes that it's not worth the cost of doing that.
So the settlement is $100 million, but how much did the state pay in overpayments to Horizon?
Less than $100 million. We're getting back substantially more than we paid.
Is there an approximation for that number?
We can work with you to get you the number after. It's a bit complicated, but this is a historic settlement.
Okay. Can you also just describe the other terms of the settlement with Horizon to ensure that they don't have to do this again?
Sure. There's a number of additional injunctive terms, data requirements that they have to produce, reporting requirements, commitments that they will not obviously repeat the conduct, which we could then sue them again if they violate. Any other injunctive terms that you want to highlight, Laura?
Just a number of verification mechanisms. We have daily verification reports. We've got monthly verification reports, quarterly verification reports. We have a look-back report from the inception of the contract from July 1, 2024 through December 31st, 2025 to ensure that these lesser of violations are no longer occurring, amongst other things that the general just mentioned.
Will these reports that you just mentioned, will those be subject to public records laws? Will those be subject to OPRA?
Well, it's hard to give you a blanket answer on an Oprah question, Daniel. You're good at filing them. I'm sure we will, and we'll respond in kind. I think, have we hit your limit yet, or do you have more?
I have one off top.
Okay.
Obviously, your term as AG is coming to an end. Governor
Is it?
Do you want to stay?
No, I was making a joke.
Can you just speak to the importance of the AG pick for Cheryl and perhaps what the next AG should do to be considered successful?
Governor-elect Cheryl knows exactly the importance of the AG role. She doesn't need my advice on it, and I have full confidence that she'll pick someone with the integrity and experience necessary to run this office, just like we have. And I look forward to working with that person, whoever it is, on a smooth transition. And I'm extraordinarily proud of days like today and yesterday and every day before that of the work we've done. And I'm extraordinarily proud of the public servants who make up this department that do this work regardless of who is sitting in my seat. So I'll defer to her and her incredibly talented team on what they think this role should be. Good. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.